This is 35C Historians, and we finished talking about the Dead Sea Scrolls, but I hope you look into it some more and remember them. Really fascinating. So one of the main reasons that the Dead Sea Scrolls were concealed in those caves, and I mean, it put into heavy clay vessels and hidden away, is because Jewish people were forced to flee the region of Israel so quickly when Rome was destroying it, when they brought their soldiers in to kind of put it down as if it was a rebellious province. And many people were killed and other people fled away. And so I think those people who had transcribed and waited for Messiah hoped they would be able to come back and look at those scriptures again. And if not them, then someone in the future. And that happened to be people in the 1900s who found them 2,000 years later. So Rome did a lot of destruction. Roman destruction was the very reason the Dead Sea Scrolls were hidden away. Rome also made advancements. And a lot of times we look with pride on the Roman Empire. And one of the reasons for that is some of their advances, which I'm going to talk about right now. So they were the first major civilization to regularly use an organized police and fire protective service, especially for their cities. It didn't prevent massive fires from breaking out. We know the fire in Rome under Nero, but at least they had some kind of system to fight the fires. And part of that was people were living pretty close together in their cities. They had excellent roads. These are some of the things that our governments pay for today: police, fire, roads. So that's similar to the Roman organization. And of course, taxes. Of course, the Romans have famous taxes, which is why we have the tax collectors at the time of Jesus. The law was that you were innocent until proven guilty. So for Jesus to have to go to trial before Rome, they had to prove him guilty. And if you recall Pontius Pilate, he just said, "I find no basis for a charge against this man." So technically under Roman law, he shouldn't have executed him, and he didn't feel right about it. He washed his hands and he said, I wash my hands of the guilt of me killing an innocent man. And the Jewish people who had gathered, a lot of the teachers of the law and the other kind of rabble rousers that they had brought out with them, said, let his blood be on us and on our children. And if you've ever seen a passion play, that's one of the lines that they talk about. If you go and see, what is it called? The Easter Triumph that we do in Austin. Roman advances were aqueducts, and we're going to look at a picture of those in a minute. We still use that kind of technology in our cities. It may be a little bit more advanced with pumps and stuff now, but we've used aqueducts for a long time in America. Here's a picture of it. So remember the Roman arch and the Roman dome, that they could do these curved structures because of the invention of concrete, which we talked about a while ago. So whenever you see arches and domes, that architecture we first see in a big way in Rome. And of course, we still use it today. So the idea of it is that water would travel long distances through this network and get to the places where people lived a lot. So here's a picture that really helps you to understand it. So they had to use gravity before an electrical pump type system. They had to use gravity, maybe a water wheel, the power of water. So up in the mountains, there'd be a reservoir of water. And then you'd drill in an intake point. And again, they had to drill without machinery, but they had to use tools and strength and physics. And then you would carve out of the mountain a conduit, again, using kind of the old-fashioned strength and tools. And either it could go along these aqueduct bridges, like the bridge I showed you in the picture, go along the top of that into the pipes in the city. Or if not an aqueduct bridge, modern days, because we can use a pump, we can keep it going uphill into the treatment plant where we treat the water using a filtration process and sometimes some chemicals like a bit of chlorine to kill some of the diseases that used to kill people in America 100 years ago, cholera, etc., and then piping to the city. So here's a Roman aqueduct using the aqueduct bridge, and a modern aqueduct using some pumps. So that's a pretty big technology, pretty big invention from the Romans. And it took their arches and their concrete to do that. And see, they just have it flow downhill. Don't need any more pumps than that, just the gravity, the power of water. So here now we're looking at the top of an aqueduct again. They would use dammed reservoirs to get the water, springs up in the mountains. Vitruvius is a Roman political leader who talked about the need for water when you have these populated cities. Of course, we can't live without water. And I wanted to show you a little more arches from Rome. So